Good morning. I have a quick mystery school feed I'm going to be doing today on the Law 1, Session 22. Give me a second to share this. We have a new moon energy too. I'll do like a little new moon rant. I'm going to be doing news and cards tomorrow, but I'll do like a little moon rant too, energy report as well in this one video. I just have like one more share. All right, a lot of this section is recap. You'll notice that about this material. It has a lot of really good material, but it can be a lot to weed through. I especially am getting a really good perspective of that because I'm trying to break it down weekly. So I'm kind of seeing how it's written or channeled in the style. I'm getting familiar with it and good at it, but I can see it's a lot of like material to weed through. The average lifespan of someone at the end of the second major cycle was between 35 to 40 years old and 100 years old. People who were geographically isolated were more in harmony with source energy. There was a drastic drop in average lifespans. It went from 700 years to less than 100 years in length during this second 25,000 year cycle. This was caused by an intensification of a lack to service to others. And we're seeing the same things repeat. I feel like I've been through this like same scenario over and over on repeat, kind of like a lot of the lessons in my life. I basically spent most of my life on the same lesson. It took me a long time to get past it. So I kind of feel like we're like seeing the same things happen though. We're seeing rises in technology. We're seeing a substantial military and police type powers, all the same kind of things that were at play when Atlantis fell. And it's a repeating, recurring theme throughout a lot of civilizations as well. So basically, I'll break it down. Our lifespans really drastically reduce based on our polarity. So I see, not to be judgmental or anything, but I'm always looking at things and I'm always seeing things in the matrix. And a lot of the people that are in political positions of authority, things like that, they're aging so fast and you can just tell their health isn't so good. And you can really see, and I see it around people I know in my regular life too, where this energy is amazing for me. I love it. I'm thriving. And this same energy might be having negative effects on people's bodies that are service to self in some type of way. At the end of the second cycle, the law of responsibility had begun to affect people. People were beginning to explore personal relationships, but barter had begun. Barter led to the concept of money. This led to the concept of ownership. Each person had a choice, service to self or service to others. Those who chose service to self chose to manipulate others. And we see that right now. We know we incarnated in here to experience an individualized consciousness, and there are a lot of people that are getting lost in these roles and these kind of egoic identities, and you see that there is a lot of manipulation going on with those that are service to self. And you see that especially in positions of power. You can really see that a lot of people who have like the most money in this matrix or the most status are not as evolved souls. So we kind of see that as a reoccurring theme, that the more evolved souls won't have those kind of situations. As each lesson was presented, lessons of sharing, giving, and receiving gratitude. Each lesson was either accepted or rejected. Since people were not learning, the lifespan was reduced. Basically, if we're basically service to self and we're not having a positive experience, we will end the experience here and we will leave the experience. This shortened lifespan helped and hindered the people. They had more time in between incarnations to review their mistakes, but it shortened their lifespans. The shortening of the lifespan is due to a distortion of the Law 1. It suggests that a person cannot receive more experience at an intensity that they can handle. This rule is only effective when it comes to the individual. It does not apply to an entire planet. Having a shortened lifespan is necessary when wisdom and love has been rejected. and then becomes necessary to remove the person from the experience. They're then reflected back into consciousness without being accepted as part of oneself. This then causes the person to have a need for healing and evaluation. And we're seeing a lot of that here. I'll probably throw it in like my news rant tomorrow, but I really have to talk about how we have to get rid of this dualistic thinking. And a lot of people are still seeing negative, and a lot of people don't understand that that serves a purpose here, and that everything's actually perfect. We are perfect as is, and we kind of had to rise above that. When we're not accepting things, we're not accepting ourselves. So we really had to work on that. Last session, we spoke of the South American group that was harvestable at the end of the second cycle. This isolated group had achieved lifespans of up to 900 years old, which is the appropriate length of this density. I tell people that I'm going to live to be like 5,000 years old this life, and I feel that's like the natural life expectancy to the third density. But a lot of people, like I was telling my friend that, and they're like, oh, you think you're going to be immortal? You're part of probably like, the new age stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to be immortal. I just feel like people were meant to live a lot longer, and that people used to live a lot longer. And so then I had to really think about that. And basically, it's not that you're going to be immortal. We just would have had a lot longer lifespans. So we're seeing that our actions and our choices and our polarity really affect our life expectancy, though, and things like that. But then I was reading the Law of One, and it says that people used to live to be 700 years old. I've heard 5,000. I'm not really sure, but people did used to live to be a lot longer and had a lot more time to their growth here. But people were also very service to others. The planetary action that we're experiencing now, which shortens all lifespans here, was not strong enough then to affect them and shorten their lifespan. And isolation is possible here. It is possible to break off from the matrix and to create your own version of reality. As the cycle terminated 25,000 years ago, the reaction of the Confederation over the lack of harvest was concern. The Council of Saturn acted to allow entry into the third density before anyone called for assistance. This was done randomly so they didn't violate free will. The next action taken by the Confederation was when a call occurred. The group that produced this call was the Atlanteans. This call went out as an attempt for people to help each other. The Confederation's action was to send out lots of information through channels. We're seeing the same thing happen right now. Where during the time of Atlantis, there was a huge calling from humanity. And right now we're seeing the same exact thing, like the same thing. And a lot of information is being sent out now, just like it was during Atlantean times. This was the first calling then at the time before Atlantis became technologically advanced. Most of the information was given to them in the same way that we're getting our information now, through channeling. They, however, did have visitations from time to time. They had ideal conditions for this. Their calling was done by an entire soul group who overcame any resistance by people who didn't want to learn. The Confederation entities had the same thing happen to them in the past, so they were doing the same thing for the Atlantean entities. I think that's why I feel such a call to help and assist others in my own kind of like life and my mission now. I feel a sense of responsibility from my past. The Confederation is always trying to fix the damage they feel responsible for here. It's their duty to fix the distortions in the Law of One. I'm seeing so much too with like religions, cults, religions, all sorts of religious type organizations too popping up, just using control tactics and all sorts of crazy stuff, just so much more too during these times and during things that are going on. But any type of religion has been seriously distorted at this point. It really doesn't matter which one. And there's some serious distortions to the Law of One as well. We had a condition where a large enough percentage of the people of Atlantis had started at least going in the direction of the Law of One and living the Law of One for their call to be heard by the Confederation. This call was heard because using the law of squares, it overrode the opposition of the Atlantean entities who were not calling. The Confederation then used channels such as we use now in communication, but also made contact directly. But this turned out to be a mistake because it was perverted by the entities of Atlantis. Remember though, there's only the one law, the law of one. Any other law is a distortion. And the average lifespan of the Atlantean population, they say, was from, they say was from the years 70 to 140 years old. I personally believe that our entire calendar system is screwed. People would not even believe. Our whole sense of time and what time is using the calendar system is really out of whack with actual time type of frequencies. So they have a hard time translating a lot of material just because of our time continuum. Because of an increasing need for power, the lifespans decreased. This is why at later stages of the civilization, healing was requested. And a lot of people say that it must be greed. That is the problem of the third dimension. And it's actually not. It's more power struggles. The third dimension is all about power struggles and these kind of power struggle type dynamics and relationships and things like that. At the same time the Confederation was appearing in the skies above Egypt, they were appearing to the Atlanteans. The Atlanteans had reached a certain level of philosophical understanding that allowed them to study the mysteries of the universe and oneness. The Atlanteans began making requests for healing and information. The Confederation passed along lots of information on crystals and building structures, such as temples and pyramids. The Atlanteans had the same type of initiate training as the Egyptians, and but they were more sophisticated, actually. The Atlantean temples were temples of learning. In the Egyptian temples, the healers were often put on a pedestal, which promoted separateness. Many priests trained in these temples. They were not priests in a sense of celibacy, obedience, or poverty. They were priests because of their devotion to learning. Things started to become difficult when people began to use their power for things other than healing. Many stopped learning to become part of the government. That was a lot of the problem. We have a dark past from Egypt, actually. That was the entire difference between Egyptian history and Atlantean history would be that the temples turned into a source of separateness and that people were starting to be worshipped and things like that. And it was more like living in Atlantis was more like being a student and a seeker. At the time of Atlantis, there were more than 345,000 people incarnate on this planet. At the end of the second major cycle, only 150 of the 345,000 were harvestable. When the next cycle started, these people stayed to work on the planet. These people were visited by the Confederation and decided to stay to aid the planet and to help elevate consciousness. A member of the Confederation appeared to this group of 150 people as a light being. It appeared with a shield of light. It told them about oneness with all of creation and their true infinite nature. It told them about the future with the harvest. It spoke in golden words. And I'm going to interrupt really quick there because I have a lot of golden energy around me, which is kind of rare today. Just so much golden energy in this room, which is kind of rare. And it's an angelic energy too. It set up a telepathic linkage to show them that they were interested in the plight of third density. After this interaction, all of their group decided to stay and help with the next cycle. They began in the sub-octaves of third density and then repeated the cycle. A lot of people here are not wanderers, but people who incarnated or originated in that second cycle. Some of these people have been able to leave since then. Some have chosen to join our galactic brothers and sisters. We know some of these people from our historical past too. We have St. Augustine, Mother Teresa, and St. Francis, who are all part of this group. And I guess I'll just do a really quick, I have to go fast, but rant on the energy. We have a new moon in Sagittarius energy today, actually. That's why I'm popping back up. I like to rest up. So basically, we're entering a space storm today. And we know that from these storms and the kind of activity that everything will get more and more intense each day that we're in it. So we basically have a 2-week period from the new moon today until the full moon where we're going to have kind of a little bit of intense energy. And this is going to help you look at your year in retrospective. And it's going to help you wrap up any things that you need to kind of get rid of. So a lot of things are going to be coming up. Things that are not serving people are disintegrating. It can look like things are falling apart, but have faith. We kind of need fresh start to create this new beginning. And that's what New Year's are all about. It's always like a new beginning, and I'm going to do this, and things are going to be great. But we're really embarking on a new journey and a new beginning, and we have to let go. We have to become lighter. So during this Mercury retrograde phase, you guys have seen your past. You've seen things coming up that you need to heal and let go of. They're not coming up so that you can go back to your past and revisit it. It's so that you can heal it and let it go. You've been carrying it around for too long. These are the things that are holding you back. And these are the things that are keeping you repeating the same lessons. So just really take a look at your life. Let go of this stuff. Don't be like, a lot of people are having things come up with like relationships, past things with their family, whatever it is. You're just meant to heal it and to look at these things. So have a really good high vibe day. I'll be back with news and cards tomorrow. And I'm here if you need me.